Hey there, welcome to another episode of Eat with Sarah. I'm Sarah, and today we're going to be talking about international food in Washington, D.C. and how you can explore the world without even leaving the D.C. district, because you can get Mexican, Thai, Indian, Georgian cuisine, and lots of other cuisines without even leaving the country of the United States. First cuisine that we're going to be going over is Georgian. Yes, Georgian the country, not the state. Georgia is in the Caucasus near Azerbaijan and Armenia, and Georgian cuisine is a lot of cheese and eggs. So it's very vegetarian friendly, but not necessarily vegan friendly. And the DC restaurant that I recommend for Georgian cuisine, I've been there, is called Supra. Their wait staff was very helpful when I was looking for plant-based options. They actually have a lot of plant-based options, and Georgia is a lot more vegan and plant-based friendly than what you would expect. They have this sort of like cheese paste made out of walnuts that's different colors, a lot of eggplant, they have a dish called red beans, they have bread, and then they have a bunch of other different delicious things for you to try. I highly recommend Supra in Washington, D.C. Another thing that Georgia is known for is the wine. So if you're a big wine person, if you're into plant-based and vegetarian and vegan cuisine, I highly recommend Supra. Finally, they do have a tarragon soda, and it was absolutely delicious. It's lime green, it's vibrant green, it's beautiful, and it's really tasty. A lot tastier than what you would expect from tarragon soda. The next cuisine that we're gonna go over is American cuisine. So in my experience, a lot of American cuisines aren't necessarily vegan friendly. They rely a lot on burgers and steaks. But when I went to the Cedar restaurant in Washington, D.C., they do have a separate vegan menu on their website. They have a separate vegan brunch menu and dinner menu on their website. And I remember it being very easy to eat vegan and plant-based at the restaurant. So that's one restaurant I've been to and can recommend. I've also been to Equinox. Equinox is more new American versus Cedar is more traditional American. Equinox, if you watch any of my other videos about DC, Equinox is one of my favorite restaurants, and I highly recommend you try it. Neither Cedar nor Equinox are 100% vegan, but in both cases they are aware of veganism. They have separate vegan menus, or they have the vegan menu items labeled, and it makes for a really easy experience. Other restaurants that are on my radar but I haven't been to yet are Founding Farmers and Hazel. So I've been meaning to go to Hazel, but I haven't been to DC in a little while, so I haven't had the chance to go there. And then, even though I've heard of Founding Farmers being vegan and vegan friendly, every time I look at their menu before I go there, it just doesn't inspire me. So maybe you'll be more pulled towards their menu because they are known as being a vegan friendly option in the Washington, D.C. area for just like classic American restaurants. I'd love to hear your opinion if you've been to Founding Farmers and what your experience was there. Another cuisine that I have tried in Washington, D.C. is Thai cuisine, or just Asian cuisine in general. I don't tend to go to a lot of Asian restaurants or a lot of Thai restaurants. A lot of the times they seem very familiar to me with like the red curry, the green curry. It's all very the same to me. But I have been to one Thai restaurant, and that was Rice Restaurant. It wasn't anything over the top, nothing impressive. Most things that are Asian, Thai, Vietnamese are going to be pretty vegan, vegetarian, and plant-based friendly. So if you are a strict vegan, like a lot of Asian places, you might have to ask about fish sauce or oyster sauce or something like that. But overall, it was very easy to order something vegetarian and vegan and plant-based when I was there. And the food was pretty good too. Nothing extraordinary, nothing fantastic. I think that Thai Idea in San Francisco is a little bit more impressive than Rice Restaurant in DC, but I would go back there if I didn't have any other place to go in the area. Another Thai place that is on my list, but I haven't been to yet, is called Soi 38. I have looked at the menu. It looks really delicious. It sounds very vegan and vegetarian and plant-based friendly, and I just haven't gotten the chance to go there. One of my favorite cuisines is Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cuisine, and I have been to a few Middle Eastern restaurants in Washington, D.C. The more upscale one that I can recommend is called Lapis. It's I think is an Afghan restaurant. It's really beautiful. The food is delicious, very like flavorful, pretty welcome towards plant-based options. Another place that is sort of Mediterranean, Middle Eastern inspired, that is more fast food, is called Little Sesame. They serve like falafel, and they serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I remember they had this really amazing like black sesame non-dairy ice cream. It was delicious. I highly recommend it. So that's something really unique. So you have Lapis on one end, a little bit more upscale, and then on the other end you're gonna have something that's fast, less sit down, it's gonna be ready quicker. Other places that are on my radar that I haven't been to yet in the DC area include Ottoman Taverna and Munchies, which is again more like a fast food, casual type of restaurant. And then Maydan is on my radar. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten the chance to go there yet. I hope to be able to try them one day, but their menus appear very vegan and vegetarian friendly. Mediterranean food, again, like Middle Eastern food, is one of the foods that I love to prioritize as somebody who is vegan, because it tends to be a lot easier to eat vegan there, and the hummus and the pita bread and whatnot. So for Mediterranean restaurants, there is Little Sesame again. So Little Sesame isn't necessarily like Middle Eastern or Mediterranean. It's kind of a mix of both. If you're looking for a place that's a little bit more upscale, I would recommend Zaytinya. Zaytinya is a place that I have been to multiple times, and the food has always been good. I've been there in restaurant week, and their menu was vegetarian friendly. I have been there outside of restaurant week, and the selection of foods was really good. I highly recommend them, and the wait staff, the atmosphere is always great. In my opinion, DC is really well known for their Ethiopian restaurant. I haven't seen such a high concentration of really high quality Ethiopian restaurants in any city in the USA like there is in DC. So the one that I have been to is called Das Ethiopian. It's a little bit more upscale, but the prices are still very affordable. It's easy to get a reservation. It's easy to walk in. Another restaurant that is a little bit north of downtown DC, more towards the Columbia Heights area, is called Ghion Ethiopian. And that was really good. I love the combination of flavors and textures, really high quality, great injera. I really haven't been to an Ethiopian restaurant that I didn't like yet. Ethiopian restaurants, they tend to be very flavorful, full of color, full of texture, and I really don't have disappointing experiences with Ethiopian restaurants. As far as restaurants that I haven't been to yet, Chercher seems to be very common and popular in the DC area, so that's one place that I can recommend based off of the reviews, and another place that is on my radar to try when I go back to DC. The next cuisine we're going to be talking about is Indian cuisine. So Indian cuisine is known for being very vegetarian friendly, because traditional Indians, a lot of them don't eat meat at all, but sometimes it can be very difficult to eat vegan because a lot of things have either milk or cheese or ghee in them, and so that's one thing you need to be mindful of. I think a lot of restaurants that aren't so traditional are going to use oil instead of ghee, but that is something you will want to check with at the restaurant if you are concerned about it. One of my favorite places is Rasika. It's very well known in the DC area, and it has two locations. I've eaten at them both. Both are really good. I love the food. The service is great. The atmosphere is great, and I love their selections. They even have an area separate on their menu for vegetarians, and it's easy to pick out the dishes that are vegan as well. Overall, Indian really isn't something that I need to advise a lot of people about, I'm sure, because a lot of vegans and vegetarians already know that it's pretty easy to eat vegetarian when you go to an Indian restaurant. The last sort of cuisine that we're going to go over in DC today isn't quite a cuisine at all. It's tea culture, and being a person that loves tea, I think it is great to point out the places to get tea in DC. One of my favorite places to get tea, and it's also a dine-in restaurant as well, is called Teaism. They have a few locations around the DC area, and I like to be there. I like their international sort of flair, which is also very appropriate for this video. It's a little bit Asian, like Indian, like globally inspired, and it's a casual sort of place, but the food isn't fast food at all. It's well thought out, it's very mindful, and overall I like the vibe in Teaism. It's very homey while also being a little bit sort of like exotic. They have a location around DuPont Circle. Since I tend to stay around DuPont Circle when I go to DC, another place that has tea around DuPont Circle is Tea Mansion. I have tried several of their teas. They're really good, really high quality tea at Tea Mansion. Last but not least, I am so excited to share with you that not only do I host YouTube videos, but I also host plant-based retreats and vacations around the United States. I have an upcoming retreat in Washington, DC. We're gonna eat at the best plant-based international restaurants in DC. We're gonna cook internationally inspired food. You're gonna get hands-on demos, vegan food tastings, explore DC a little bit. I am so excited to be cooking with you, sharing with you a multi-course meal. We're gonna be cooking together. And if you want 4 days of doing that, plus hanging around with an 8-year plant-based chef, I would love for you to get more information and get tickets. You can do that in the description below. There are links. Thanks for watching this video on all the different types of cuisines in the Washington, DC area. I hope that you get to patron the different restaurants that I have mentioned in this video so you can explore the world without leaving the United States. I'd really appreciate if you could give it a like to this video because it helps me grow my channel, and if you want to see more of this type of content, please subscribe. I would love for you to join my growing community. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.